time you don't do the same mistake. Let's say, for example, you are saving for a goal, and in between there something came up. Let's say, for example, you got an emergency and you didn't achieve that goal. Learn from that, understand it, and make sure that next time you plan better, and also teach others, such that we have a society which is financially literate. Let's be money wiser.
Don't miss on U24.
Entrepreneurs Hub, giving you a deep and unique insight into agribusiness, services, ICT and innovation, industrialization and so much more. Entrepreneurs Hub, growing your small, medium and large business entity. With yours truly, Sandra Kahunde.
U24.
From St. Andrew Kagwa Gombe High School, and I'm a proud Ugandan, not for just one reason but quite many, but there's one that's outstanding. My reason is Uganda is the pearl of Africa. Like, do you know what it means, the whole continent being the pearl, like the center of everything? Because Uganda has a diverse biodiversity, the game parks, the wild animals, even the people themselves. They are the true pearl of Africa. We are so hospitable, we are so welcoming. Like, it's very hard for one to get stranded in Uganda. Like, how? That's why I'm a proud Ugandan.
Get your favorite health tips right here on U24. Maintain your kidney by drinking 8 to 10 glasses of water each day. This can be in form of soup, tea, water, cooked grains and boiled vegetables.
Checkpoint. This is U24 Television, the National Youth Development and Educational Channel. The Checkpoint is where truth is spoken and voices are heard. My name is Vianny Ayebare. I'm the host for this evening, and this evening we are discussing the topic, the meaning and expectations of the 12th Parliament of Uganda and its new leadership. We'll be also discussing briefly to understand the new cabinet, the structure of the new cabinet, and whether Ugandans should be excited looking ahead at the legal mandate that the new cabinet will be having. The Checkpoint comes to you every Tuesday 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. and I'm very honored to have distinguished guests, a panel of distinguished lawyers. They are all lawyers, and they are going to help us understand the intricacies involved in these concepts. And without wasting much of the time, permit me start from my far left. I have Honorable Bernard Otim. He is a lawyer. He is also a member of parliament for Maruzi North Constituency in Apac district on the NRM ticket. And I'm also told that he's currently contesting for secretary for the NRM caucus.
Secretary, yeah. General Secretary.
General Secretary for the NRM caucus.
Yes.
I don't know whether you are on NRM or PLU. When I saw the post, I didn't understand very. But you're welcome, sir, on the Checkpoint. You could say hello to our viewers.
Well, thank you so much, the host, Vianny, and the panelists, and the viewers out there. The host heavily introduced me as being Otim Bernard, Member of Parliament, representing the wonderful people of Maruzi North County in Apac district, but also he adds a pinch onto the salt by saying I am contesting for the position of General Secretary NRM caucus, for the 12th Parliament of Uganda, which is very true. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, I have His Excellency Mutesasira Experito. Experito, he is a lawyer and he is the immediate former guild president for the Law Development Center at Mbarara campus. And we are very happy to have you, sir, on the checkpoint. Please say hello to our viewers.
Yes, thank you so much, my brother Vianny and my fellow panelists today for having me a part of this show for the day. Good evening, our viewers. Thank you for tuning in. We believe that this show is not for us, but for you and the entire country. And with these views that we bring here, with you inclusive, with you participating, we believe that Uganda is going to better heights. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And next I have Mark Tulyazalwa Mugisha. He is a lawyer and he is a former candidate in the 2026 elections for Kira Municipality MP Constituency. And we are very happy to have him here again. You're very welcome, Mark. You were on an independent ticket. Since then, have you changed your mind?
That is true. I always prefer to have an independent mind. Members out there watching the show, I salute you and I thank you for always tuning in to watch this show as we deliberate on various issues pertaining the growth and development of our country.
Thank you very much. And right away, I want to go deeper into this conversation. And I'm going to start with Honorable Bernard Otim to tell us what we saw yesterday. First and foremost, the first sitting of the 12th Parliament. What is it and why does it matter?
Well, thank you so much, viewers out there and the hosts and the panelists. You ask, what is it about what happened yesterday during the first sitting of the 12th Parliament, which happened at the Kololo Ceremonial Ground? One, I would like, first of all, by thanking God for bringing Uganda and Ugandans this far, that we have had the opportunity of electing new leaders. And that opportunity of electing new leaders was climaxed yesterday with the first sitting of the 12th Parliament, and that happened in line with the provisions of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda. And the purpose of that sitting was specifically to elect the office bearers for the office of the Speaker and Deputy Speaker of Parliament of the Republic of Uganda. So, of what importance was it? You realize that the Parliament of Uganda, just like the other arm of government, plays a critical role in the socio-economic development of Uganda. It is obvious to talk about roles of Parliament and its members, which I will not have to delve in, but realize that without the first sitting of the Parliament, then the state become dysfunctional. You realize that in a few days from now, to be specific, I think on 4th of June, we shall be having, I think, the State of the Nation, then to be followed by budget reading. And the absolute duty to bring into force or live the budget that runs the country, that lubricates the system of government, is for Parliament. And that role cannot be played without a functional Parliament. The President has just released a new list of cabinet ministers, and I'd like to congratulate those who made it to it. Without a functional Parliament, those people whose names have appeared today on the list of ministers cannot take office. Because then, after election of the Speaker and the Deputy Speaker, the next is going to be appointment of committees. Now, it's those committees, especially the Committee on Appointments, that handles approval of these ministers who have been elected. So that specifically tells you that the event of yesterday throws us forward, gives us that inertia, that energy that now makes the country start to move for the government that is taking shape now.
Suppose you are appointed on that committee, and the list, I hope you've gone through that list of cabinet ministers.
Yes.
Do you foresee anyone who you would say, this one I cannot approve?
Certainly that would be a bit unrealistic, because approving or not approving should not be seen from people's faces, from their name appearing or not. Certainly this country is governed by the Constitution that provides for specific provisions and qualification for specific offices. So realize that most of the people who appear on the list are either already members of parliament who bear the very minimum qualification. And surely you would expect those people to be approved. But also looking at the list, there are a number of senior government officials who have already been holding positions. So ideally you would not look at the list and say this or the other will not be approved.
Okay, thank you very much, Honorable Bernard Otim. And we are streaming live. We are streaming live on social media handles. We are streaming on YouTube. You could go on YouTube and search U24 Television and then be able to follow this conversation live. Send us your comments, even on X, search U24 Television, comment, and send your contribution, your questions. We'll be reading those questions in the course of this conversation. On YouTube, do the same. We shall be reading those comments. We're also on TikTok, on Facebook, and many other social media channels. Follow U24 Television and be able to follow this conversation. I want to go to Mutesasira, and he tells me whether the sitting which happened yesterday should be taken as important as Honorable Bernard Otim has suggested. Mutesasira, do you agree that that session was as important as Otim has highlighted?
Thank you, Vianny. One, I think it is important for us to note before giving in our views that whether you want or not, under our constitution, we must have a parliament, regardless of the quality of the members, regardless of how they get into the house, regardless of how they conduct business. We must have a parliament there. And I think what happened yesterday is important as far as the constitutional provision is concerned. I mean, we had to have it. I want to start by congratulating my brother here, Otim.
Thank you.
For entering there. I believe he does not represent only the people of Apac.
Yes.
But Ugandans, and most importantly the lawyers, because when you're a lawyer, the community expects too much. And most of our colleagues, inclusive of the former speaker, I believe they have painted a bad picture. That is my view. But going back to the question, what happened yesterday, in my view, I think I want to pay more attention to the head of the institution that we got. Recalling the history of the 11th Parliament, we've had very many weaknesses. We've had a backslide in the Parliament as an institution. It had moved or backslided from being a parliament, being an arm of government, to being an extension or an arm of the NRM. And I think if you stay in Uganda, you must have observed that the events that followed the election of the speaker, or actually I call it selection, because if your memory serves you well, you must be able to remember that upon the pressure that was mounted on the former speaker and her resignation following, we got a messenger. That is where the politics of Uganda now has gone to. Can you believe it? Who came in and was like, we are now cancelling the endorsement of the former speaker, and within no time we endorsing this person. And when this person was asked that is the right honorable, with due respect, both during the swearing-in ceremony, he came out and said, I don't know about that. So my worry as a Ugandan, as a young lawyer, as a young person, is that we are now getting someone who didn't come out, on his own volition, but he was just elected. You know, under our constitution and the rules of procedure of parliament, the parliament is meant to check the executive. The parliament is meant to bring the executive to accountability. And I'm not seeing that in this 12th parliament. Where you have a speaker who has just been selected from among the members. You know, the rules dictate that the members shall elect amongst themselves. But now what we are having what we've just had is that the executive has chosen the speaker, and with this honorable team, you must be careful because you're going to be in that house. You must be careful not to, not really be in battles with the speaker. Because this is a speaker, yes, you belong to the same party, but this is a speaker, I believe, who has come to accomplish a mission. And my appeal to the new MPs that have just been sworn in is that, get back to the constitution, get back to the rules of procedure. The parliament is meant to do more than what now people think the parliament should do. Most of the MPs, with no doubt, any of them has the majority numbers in parliament, and for anything that the any of them wants, they will get, because they have numbers. And I think it is not really proper. It was never the position of leadership that once you belong to a party, whatever position that comes, you don't use your common sense, you don't use your head.
Thank you very much.
As I conclude, these MPs that have just sworn in, regardless of where they belong, NRM, NOP, or FDC, or PSF, they should help us and debate as Ugandans, not before their parties come. They should debate as Ugandans, as representatives of the people. I know there are those that pass through the window. Oh, we are yet to see petitions. But even if you went into parliament through a window, at least have courtesy for those very, very few people that elected you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Vianny, probably before you bring in the next panelist, I would like to put something straight and correct. All right. My brother here brings in a notion, we call it a notion, that there was selection, not election.
So what do you call it?
Absolutely.
I want to start with that, especially from him. Then I will bring him back later.
This one lives in California, he's not in Uganda.
I want to bring him back on that concept.
Yes, you must not have seen this.
Then I will come and pick your view thereafter.
Yes.
Do you think the events of yesterday guarantee an independent parliament? Because our constitution seems to suggest that the legislature is one arm that is very important. It is in chapter 6, which comes even before executive and before the judiciary. So the events that led to the election of the new speaker, are you contented that they guarantee an independent, impartial parliament that represents the Ugandans?
Thank you so much, Vianny. When we are to look at the events that led to the election of the speaker, I must state that nothing abnormal, nothing illegal happened. The rules of procedure of parliament are very clear that the very first sitting of parliament, under Rule 5 of the rules of procedure, which Otim will now have to read.
I already read.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good if you know. Rule 5, that on the very first sitting, the first action shall be the election of the speaker, which shall be presided over by the Chief Justice or a judge designated by the Chief Justice. And in this case, we had the Chief Justice step in himself. And how shall the election of the speaker be done? A name of a person shall be fronted. They nominate you, you come out, second your nomination, another person comes in, you come and speak to your nomination, and you're equally seconded. And we saw this happen. We saw the Honorable Mouth being nominated. We saw the Honorable Paul Mwiru for the NUP, and the Honorable Maxon Jacob Oboth.
That's the mind of a politician.
Now, when we are talking about issues, we must now firstly look at things as they were done, and then what ought to be done. There are issues we should not confuse here. What happens prior, or the actions of individuals outside the session or plenary of Parliament, do not impact the proceedings of Parliament. Now, if we are to look at the formalities, compliance with the rules of procedure, compliance with the laws of the nation, everything was done in accordance with the law. But I know where the question emanates from. That prior to the election of the speaker, we had pressure mounted on the former speaker. Restrictions on her movement. We saw her property being impounded. And then before you know it, we have Omutume Kabanda coming in telling you,
and most of you were happy from the look of things. You were happy that there was something happening to the former speaker?
I am not happy, neither am I excited for the coming in of Oboth. To make the record straight, Oboth has been in that parliament for 3 consecutive terms. And for avoidance of doubt, he has been the chairperson of the Legal Affairs Committee of Parliament for the 10th Parliament and the 11th Parliament. And we've had the suicidal laws being passed in a parliament where he has been a chair of the Legal Affairs Committee. You get the point. So the coming in of Maxon Oboth is not bringing any new breath to Parliament. Oboth is a member of the NRM. He has been a chair of the Legal Committee that has been propagating the laws against the will of the people. Now he's simply coming in as a rubber stamp of the will of the ruling party. So with the coming in of Oboth, we agree that there was strict compliance with the laws of the country. But the question anyone would ask, will the 12th Parliament be any different from the 11th Parliament? And the answer is straight. It's clearly no. Because Oboth coming in as the speaker had expressed interest prior before the appointment of Olanya. He had wanted to be speaker. But when he was not selected, because I agree with the submission of my brother Mutesasira, that when you get the full bunch of 300 MPs from the NRM, the equivalent to one sober head, because they are summoned before one king and they are told what they should think and what action should be taken. So when you get the full bunch of the 300 MPs from the NRM, the equivalent to one sober individual, because all of them combined, when they are summoned before their master, they are directed on what to do. So what you can do as an individual can be done by the 300.
Otim, you
he's part of them.
Yes. From where he gets it from, you were at your homes previously supporting Anita Mo. And then when he woke up one night, you probably checked on Twitter, and someone said, we are fronting Oboth. And a few days later, you were called to support Oboth and Tayewa. Even when Tayewa was part of leadership of the 11th Parliament, that is being allegedly blamed for huge corruption cases. So, is Mark right to say that 300 MPs of NRM are equal to one who is sober?
Thank you so much. First of all, you must forgive our brother Mark, because most apparently that is his view and that's his opinion. He has a right, he holds a right to his own view and opinion, and he must not be held accountable for what he thinks is right. However, it's my duty to put facts right. First of all, as a member of Parliament, the 12th Parliament. Secondly, as a member of the NRM. But thirdly, and most importantly, as a Ugandan. One, let the facts get it clear that Oboth, the Right Honorable Jacob Maxon Oboth, was not a chairperson of the Legal and Parliamentary Affairs in the last Parliament, that 11th Parliament. He was a Minister for Defense and Veterinary Affairs. That is one. However, in the previous parliament. That was the 10th. He was chairperson legal and parliamentary affairs. That's one fact. However, let's go back to the basics. We are lawyers. That is a good fact. We are lawyers.
Yes.
One, we must agree that Ugandans in 2005 chose the multi-party democracy through a referendum. But before 2005, Ugandans, through the CA in 1995, made a Ugandan constitution that brought forward multi-party democracy. It introduced us to the various political parties that we have. I'm not going to speak for other parties that I don't belong to. NRM political party that fronted the Right Honorable Jacob Oboth has its own constitution. It has its own caucus, which are all legally binding. The NRM constitution is a legal document that guides
members
and binds its members. The NRM caucus has its own rules of procedure. Now, you talk about, first of all, the endorsement of the Right Honorable Anita Among, the former speaker, and eventually the endorsement of the Right Honorable Jacob Oboth and Ayebare. It is important that we must live to the spirit of the Constitution. We must not just say we are following the law and we mix feelings with the law.
I wish we had time and you help us understand how the Constitution of NRM brings in the views of PLU, that whatever PLU says, the NRM can...
No. The NRM never, the NRM never complied. First of all, the PLU does not have a constitution. That's one. Two, when you go to the records of the 12th parliament, now, PLU does not have even one member of parliament because it is not a legal entity. It is not a political party registered in Uganda by the Electoral Commission. So the talks of PLU is a group of Ugandans who have a right to associate the way they want.
You remember.
How much can we give them, or can we wish away the fact that they are very strong? Because it was David Kavanda, the General Secretary of PLU, who announced that endorsement of Speaker Anita Among is revoked. And indeed, what followed showed that it was revoked.
But you should also realize that the Honorable David Kavanda is a member of parliament representing the people of Kasambia County on the NRM ticket. So as much as you're thinking about PLU, when you're talking about the 12th parliament, look at Kavanda not as the Secretary General of PLU. But look at him PLU as a member of parliament on the NRM ticket.
Make a submission.
So, as I come to his point of selection, actually I've already addressed. You can talk of selection at the NRM internal democracy level. That somebody may understand. But when it comes to election of the Speaker of the 12th Parliament, there was an election. Why? For the Speaker, we had the Right Honorable Jacob Oboth, fronted by the National Resistance Movement Party. We had the Honorable Paul Muiru, fronted by the Joint Opposition. But then we have the Honorable Noah Mao, who was an island in between.
The one-man army.
The one-man army. So you cannot clearly say there was selection in the election of the Speaker. So we don't need to mix the two activities. The internal party democracy should be distinguished from the constitutional mandate of members of parliament electing their speakers, which we did, by the way, successfully yesterday. I elected the Right Honorable Jacob Maxon Oboth as my speaker for the 12th parliament. I am sure he's not going to be a rubber stamping speaker. He's a man of his own principle and wisdom. He's going to deliver.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So, I don't know whether Mark is happy now, but indeed 300 MPs are not equal to one head. But I'm going to come to Mark. I want to first go to Mutesasira on the issue of the participants in that election of the Speaker. Just briefly, I saw the President saying, my votes have been taken by Mao. He's part of us. My votes.
But did you see the smile with which the President was speaking? Mao was a diversion.
And he said also his vote, one which was invalid, was supposed to be counted. Now the question is, do you think the president's influence on parliament is necessary?
It depends on where you're standing, but you know, I happen to really follow the parliamentary business so much from, I think, the year 2016, and during that tenure, we had the Right Honorable Rebecca Kadaga as the Speaker of Parliament, and I'm not saying this to mean that I supported her or ever supported her, or even her party, the NRM, but I believe she's at least the last speaker we had in Uganda, in the real sense of speakership. And I happen to be the speaker of the last public parliament. That was in 2020. All this was done to align the parliament as an institution to the vision of parliament, that is to be a people-centered parliament. And with the public parliament, I think it happened every year, and the public would get an opportunity to get to know what really happens in parliament and to associate with all these people. And we used to get the public select the public president on that day, select a speaker, and I think that is how I became speaker for.
You are also a former speaker.
Yes, I am a former speaker of the public parliament of Uganda. But the issue I'm trying to build here is the parliament is under our constitution and under the principle of separation of powers. It's supposed to operate and act in the best interest of the public, checking the executive and making laws. Where you get a parliament, you know, I have over time argued that President Museveni is one of, with due respect, one of the most brilliant people in Uganda, if not on the entire planet. What he mentions, just like my brother.
But the ministerial appointments are done. What are you eyeing now?
No. I'm not a member of the NRM, and I'm not here to speak for any
but in the current, in the just released ministerial appointment, we have people from other parties. We have people from UPC. So
true.
You could be appointed.
Sometimes
you never know.
Sometimes you confuse issues, but let me make my point clear. I'm saying, I've always argued that he's one of the most brilliant people. That is, with no doubt. And if you doubt that, then you're contrary to what I regard him to be. So when he says my votes, actually thought that at the beginning, when Mao came in, I anticipated uncertainty. Whenever you see President Museveni doing something, worry. Because whatever is coming, you cannot really predict. So all this diversion, it was to ensure that the executive selects or participates in choosing who the Speaker of Parliament should be. And our worry, my worry as a person, and what should be the worry of you panelists and the entire country, is that we are losing the essence of a parliament. We are losing the purpose of that parliament. You know, regardless of where you stand politically, whether you're NRM or NUP or FDC, you need better roads. You need accountability. Now, my brother was trying to disregard the facts. You know me, I'm a person of form substance rather than form. My brother, him and the new Sony MP, and my brother, the next MP, I don't know when, but for sure, I wanted to congratulate my boss and friend, Honorable Mugisha, who was sworn in as the MP for sure. I mean, as we aspire for these leadership roles, we must know that regardless of where we stand, we really deserve accountability, we deserve good service, we deserve, transparency in leadership. Over time, we've been facing cases of where budgets are brought, supplementaries over time, one after the other, and people are not questioning, because I belong to party A, I. At some point, the former speaker actually voted on behalf of members. I don't know if you saw those clips. And what I'm saying is, yes, there has been a backslide from I think the time we lost one of the person I call a speaker, that is the Right Honorable Rebecca Kadaga. We were having this speaker because they were chosen after the death of the late, his soul rest in peace, Jacob Olanya, the former speaker, Anita Among, and the same way she was selected or she was brought into office, it is the same way we've gotten this speaker. So I expect that kind of business, the same wine in new bottle. The people that have been brought, they were chosen. That is now my worry. Leave alone this, Vaseline business that the parliament sat. It was presided over by the Chief Justice. Behind curtains, we know that the Honorable both. It is on camera. U24, I straight clip where he said that I don't know about that.
Thank you.
And just days to the election. So what do you expect from such a parliament? That's how I actually get to pity my brother and I encourage you.
Thank you. I have some feedback.
Any good idea.
I have some feedback coming through on various social media handles, especially on YouTube. I'm going to be reading those. But before that, Mark, tell us from all that discussion, and according to the current composition of Parliament, is it legally tenable to have Parliament in the way we have it today?
Firstly, anyone looking at the Parliament we have today, in the legal sense, the position of the Speaker is still legally vacant. Simply because...
Thank you for coming to my ideas.
The number of declared members present at the time of voting is less than the number of votes garnered by the Honorable Maxon or both.
Is it less or more?
It is more. Because at the time the number was declared, when the voting was to kickstart, even those who came in later were allowed to vote. The Honorable Betty Nambos Bachireke of Mukono Municipality tried to bring it up.
To get you very well, when you say the office is vacant, again explain that.
The office is legally vacant simply because there was a procedural irregularity in the process of electing the Speaker of Parliament. The law is very clear and the rules of procedure are very clear that under Rule 5 of the rules of procedure of Parliament, it specifically states that before voting for the Speaker, they must declare the number of members present, and that was declared. Now, after the declaration, those that came in later were equally allowed to vote. So we have the number of voters being greater than the declared number of members present. So those who were declared at the time of voting were the only eligible voters to vote for the Speaker.
Actually, it is the number of votes being
so
more than the voters.
The number of votes is greater than the number of voters.
So means that a team that is
So if we are to look at now the legality, that is the first illegality. I don't know how it will be corrected, but if we are to go to the Hansard of Parliament today, we can spot a direct illegality that was perpetrated by the procedure yesterday. Now, looking at the legality of and the tenability of the Parliament we have today, besides that procedure irregularity, I must state that we now have a legally constituted Parliament. We have members that were sworn in, and upon the swearing of the members, we've had the Speaker, who was equally sworn in by the Chief Justice. The Speaker presided over the election of the Deputy Speaker that saw the Right Honorable Thomas Tayebwa elected as a Deputy Speaker. So as we speak, we have Parliament that is constituted looking at the form. Now, if we go now to the legality, we have a challenge that what would be an illegality today is something the Parliament, where our team is going to sit, is going to come and pass a law to waive it, to make it, or to make it legal to the point that it fulfills the aspirations of their bosses who sit at the helm of power. Now, if we are to look at the parliament today, fully constituted as it is, the question is, would it really serve the purpose and the aspirations, expectations, and the will of the people? The deputy speaker of the 12th parliament, why still the deputy in the 11th parliament? When the issue of Dr. Kizza Besigye being detained without a legal regime under which he was held in prison is on record to have told the members present that, honorable members, the only thing we can do is speak, and there is nothing that we can do.
And later on, he traversed some parts of Kigezi, saying it is Dr. Besigye to blame for his prolonged detention because of the applications he makes.
Absolutely. Now, if we under such circumstances, the hope in the 12th parliament is minimal. Because if we are still driven by the numerical advantage that NRM has the majority in parliament, that before the members of the NRM come to parliament, they are summoned to appear before their superior. They are directed on the direction to take. Their right to reason is waived, and they only come to vote either in the affirmative or to oppose that what is coming up. It would be only.
Don't you think internally there are discussions in the caucus? Because we saw there are many members of NRM who had interests of contesting, but they all agreed to step aside. Don't you think it was because there were discussions in those caucuses?
When you talk about all of them agreeing to step aside, someone will ask, did you see anyone coming in agreement to say that I agree to step aside in favor of the other one? Of course, that's not true.
They were told.
You know, we have a serious problem in the country. We agree that the NRM is the party in power. We agree that they have the majority. But since people come from different backgrounds, since the country has different challenges at different levels, I believe the parliamentary flow should be a neutral ground where parties, where members can freely express their will based on the aspirations, based on the challenges faced by their electorate. But you find people coming to support bills which strongly offend the people they represent, simply because that is the position of the party. Someone will come and tell you, what my party decides is my decision. That implies that if we woke up today and the position of the party, which is likely to happen, is to amend the constitution, to waive the people's right to vote for the president under the adult suffrage, and to swap that power and center it to parliament, which has the majority now, the numerical advantage, and to front the PLU chairman as a nominee for president, that is going to pass against the will of the people. Why? That is the position of the party.
We're going to ask Otim whether he is likely to support that, but it remains speculative. But he has said it is likely because of the signs that have happened. He's saying it is likely. You will tell us whether it is likely. And we have feedback from Lubobi Huzaifa. He's watching. Thank you, Huzaifa. We have Wafula. Wafula, he says he's a former guild presidential candidate of LDC 2025-2026. He says, how can that cabinet be independent from the parliament when MPs are appointed as ministers? How will checking be possible? So he says, if MPs are appointed ministers, so how can MPs check the cabinet? Because MPs will be looking forward to be appointed maybe in the near future. We have Sharif Manda. He says, we hope this tour of Parliament represents a renewed opportunity for Parliament to rebuild public trust after criticism over corruption allegations, misuse of public funds, and weak oversight. Yeah, I saw the Honorable Thomas Tayewa saying that this time members of Parliament should not come to ask for money from the Speaker and the Deputy Speaker. But even you, the voters, should not go to ask from the MPs, because if you ask from MPs, MPs ask from the speaker or from the deputy, then they also touch from our consolidated fund. That is corruption we are speaking about. Then Sharifa Mwanda says, legally the process reflected separation of powers, the process of voting a speaker. Politically, many observers believe the events showed that the executive still exerts significant influence over the legislature in Uganda. To see May Tracy Loy, he says, the chosen and not elected. I don't know what she means. She could be meaning that there was
a selection.
A speaker was chosen, chosen, not elected.
She's right.
Okay. Mutesasira agrees with you. Kamarwa Diana says, well said, Council Mark. He says you've submitted on a point she agrees with. Then party caucus decisions strongly influence voting. We have Maron Motors, Uganda. Maron Motors, Uganda. They seem to be selling cars. And they are saying that a genuine parliamentary vote requires independent choice, procedural fairness, and meaningful participation of members, all of which were materially undermined. I concur with Council Mutesasira on selection, that there was selection. Otim, we want you to take us through. You've heard the views of the people, select few, but yes. Now I want you to hinge on the key legislative priorities that you look forward to in the parliament, the 12th parliament. What are those? Because we want to see a Uganda which is prosperous, which is transformed. What are those key legislative priorities which will ensure that this time around there is public confidence in parliament and we believe in the parliament that was enacted in the constitution?
Okay, thank you so much, the viewers out there, for the feedback, and also the panelists here for the much effort they're trying to put to bring this discussion to
bring the
life.
Truth to light. Which you
Unfortunately, truth can never be truth when they are mixed with the lies. So they become adulterated facts. One, before I answer your very beautiful question, I would like to put the record straight here. And for any other member of the public can actually go and cross-check with the parliamentary Hansard of what transpired in the parliament yesterday. It is true, at the time of when we were starting to vote, the presiding officer was the Chief Justice, had to follow procedure to ascertain the number of voters. And at that particular time, there were 379 members present. However, the rule of procedure, which is under Rule 5, which dictates how the conduct of election of a speaker should be done, does not bar any new member who was not in the chambers at that time from joining, as long as you have registered and your presence is notified. And to make this clear, when the members who had initially registered had all been read out, because they were reading name by name according to registration, the presiding officer then announced that whoever is in the house and has not voted, please come up and we are certain so that you are able to vote. Now that clearly explains why at the start of the voting there were 379 members, but the total tally went to 500 plus. I think that should be clear.
Information. You see, under the rules of procedure of Parliament, a matter of procedure supersedes any other matter, right? And the essence of the framers of this rules of procedure looked at sort of voters register. Like, we cannot vote before ascertaining who the voters are going to be.
And that was done.
Don't try to cleanse that. No. I'm trying to get to his point.
Yes.
What I mean is, the ascertaining of the voters at the beginning of the election is intended to establish the number of voters, so that at the time of counting, we get to know that the votes that we have in the boxes tally with the number of members present.
No, Council, I think you are being overbearing.
This is actually to help you.
No, not helping. No, not helping. The rules of procedure are crystal clear. It does not bar. If the rules were saying whoever is not in the house at the start of the voting is not eligible to vote, his argument would stand. But the rule does not bar any member from joining the chambers, registering his or her presence, and voting. So, that, let us put it to rest. Because, should my brothers here and any other member of the public think there were some procedural irregularities, they are at liberty to walk to the courts of law to challenge the process. But to the best of my knowledge, as a member who was present, as a lawyer who has read the rules of procedure, there were no procedural irregularities yesterday. And that means the election of the Right Honorable Jacob Max Oboth as the Speaker of the 12th Parliament is legally binding without any iota of challenge. Going to your question. So what are the immediate priorities? You know, there has been a lot of talk of the Parliament is not independent. But you see, all of us being lawyers here, we understand that in Uganda, our constitution provides for the principle of separation of powers. But those of you who have done constitutional law, you realize that in Uganda, there is no actual separation of powers. We actually have checks and balances. Because the executive arm of government, the Parliament, and the judiciary are extremely fused. Yesterday, you saw a total fusion of the three arms of government in the first sitting of the 12th Parliament, where the judiciary represented by the Chief Justice was presiding over election of the Chief Executive of the legislature. These two arms are overseen by the Chief Executive of the country, who is the President, because he has a constitutional duty under Article 82 to administer oath to the newly elected Speaker. Now, this tells you that there is nothing like pure separation of power. Now, the priorities that the 12th Parliament has at hand is, first of all, to clean its image and to distinguish itself that it is not the same as other parliaments.
Do you think this
that
possible?
Has had a lot of public concerns as regards to the management of affairs of the Parliament. 11th Parliament going backwards, not the 12th Parliament. So, that is the priority. And today, during the induction session, the Deputy Speaker, Right Honorable Thomas Tayeba, was crystal clear. There are going to be a lot of reforms in the management and administration of Parliament that would again bring back the public trust that was lost on the institution of Parliament. That's one. Two, the constitutional duty, the first and most important mandate of Parliament is to make laws. But the most important law that Parliament makes every year is the budget framework, which is always passed as a bill. Now, this is the most important thing that every other Ugandan must interest themselves. The 12th Parliament, going forward, because the current budget of 2026-2027 was largely worked on by the 11th Parliament. Our role will simply be attending to the budget reading ceremony. But ideally, the budget was passed by 11th Parliament. So whatever loopholes are there in the budget that will be read, it's not for 12th Parliament.
I want to summarize those, then I bring in Mutesasira and Mark.
Yes.
Because I want them to tell us whether they think this priority of cleaning the image, is it supposed to be a priority? And do you think clearing the image means stopping doing what was being done or doing it behind the cameras?
Before they come in, cleaning the image is two-way. There's self-cleansing by the Parliament, but there's also duty by the other arms of government. Which duty has already been taken up, for instance, by the executive. You have seen arrests. You have seen recovery of what they're calling exhibits and the rest. That's part of the process of cleaning the image of Parliament. But it is not totally dependent on the Parliament itself. So there is the extent to which Parliament can clean its image, which I believe as a member of Parliament now, to the best of our ability, we shall try our best to ensure we become a people-centered Parliament.
Thank you. Let me bring in Mutesasira just briefly to tell us those priorities. I see time is not our best friend. Priorities, what are those that you look at? And briefly comment on cleaning the image. And then I bring in Mark.
No, cleaning the image is not their role. You know why we are calling it the 12th Parliament? Because this is a new term. The only thing that would confuse them, the Honorable Otim and the rest, is that they are having an old wine in a new bottle. That is the Right Honorable, with due respect, Thomas Ayebare, that he was part of the 11th Parliament that has been exhibited before the public as dirty and unholy, and he has been brought forward to the same position in the 12th Parliament. Now, I think, Honorable Otim, when you get to the Parliament tomorrow or any other day, try to talk to all members regardless of their parties. Your role now is not to look back at what the 11th Parliament did. Your role is to do right during your tenure. And personally, you know, today we've gotten a list of cabinet members. And it is this cabinet that leads business in Parliament. The Parliament normally works on the tune of the executive. And I don't know why it has come like that, but sometimes I want to praise President Museveni for being brilliant, and sometimes I get a bit disappointed. I mean, why would we get the same faces that have gotten tainted somewhere, somehow, and we give them back the offices? At least we would want to see new faces. Let's test the likes of the Honorable Team.
But we have Honorable Namere.
That's not That's what you think about.
But Honorable Namere has not been tried before any court of law. She has not been convicted of any offense. So you cannot judge her.
My brother.
But no one has judged her. He said we have Honorable Namere, and I ended at that.
Not whatever is wrong to the court. Some of the wrongs are not taken to the court. But my point is, you see, we should, I think it is now time for Uganda and the leadership of Uganda to take leadership really very serious. We shouldn't have people that are already labeled, you know, outcasts, people that have already presented their bad images to the public.
Thank you.
Appointed to leadership positions. We have new, young and energetic people. Mark is here. Otim is here. Vianny is there. Very many young people are there, and they are, you know, brilliant and able. Let's test them. But we are getting very, very old people with old minds. I'm only happy for one person, that the previous third deputy prime minister, the Honorable Mutesasira, is retired. That is good, actually. He should have been retired even from Parliament.
Thank you very much. Let me bring in Mark to give us his view on that.
Looking at the expectations from Parliament, despite the fact that we have most of the MPs coming in for the second time, the fact that most of the ministerial appointments have been given to the old guard with a few new faces coming in, you know, the performance of the institutions of government in this country is determined by the president. Now, I'm one of the person who this time round has been inspired by the will of the president, the motive, the determination that the president has to fight corruption in the country. And I believe the compliance that has been there has been because of the silence of the president. Now that the president has woken up, I am one of the people who are optimistic that Parliament is going to function, and we shall have service delivery. We cannot preempt what they are going to do before they have taken on
so
their
you support the
mantle.
view that the president should supervise the Parliament for it to wake up?
Not necessarily that, but we are looking at Parliament being run by the presidential appointments, majorly the ministers. And now, if the president has come in to say, look, if you appointed a minister and you do not work, I'll sack you and replace you. So I'm one of the people who highly believe this time round we are going to have institutional framework that is operational.
Thank you very much. I'm going to take just 30 seconds from each of you. I see time is not our best friend. Just for final remarks, 30 seconds each. That will be about 1 minute and a few seconds. And I should take feedback from Sharif Amwanda, who says we need more time for this program. Indeed, next week on Tuesday we shall be back. And then Esther is saying, thanks, Honorable Tim. Your articulation shows you pay attention to details, that you've read the rules of procedure very fast, and you've got an understanding of the same. Yeah, being a lawyer. That's why we bring you lawyers every Tuesday here to help us understand these intricacies. And many other feedback coming through. Thank you very much for following. Let me get final remarks from Otim in 30 seconds.
Well, first of all, a very warm regard back to the viewers who have given us their time for us to share things that matter to our country. It is very important for us to realize that despite weaknesses, shortcomings, challenges that we see in our institution of parliament, we must realize that as a country, we are on a journey of making Uganda better. The mistakes that has happened should be a learning point going forward, and it is an opportunity for the new members like me and others to realize that the public trust that are given to the members of parliament through voting must be respected, because it is only through a well-managed parliament that Uganda will progress. However, we must distinguish between parliament, the institution, and a parliament which is a term of parliament which is 5 years. So whatever mistake has happened in the term of parliament, for instance of 11th parliament, must be attributed to that term. But the institution of parliament must be left to continue functioning and improving itself every other time that opportunity is granted. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Over to you, Mutesasira.
Yes, thank you so much, Vianny, for the show and the fellow panelists. I think my last shots go to the leadership of the country. It's not enough always to do politics and the politicking around corruption and all that. I think Jacob Balanya brought it clearly well when he said, you and me are all corrupt. It's not only the speaker that is corrupt. Most of you, the government officials, including those that are arrested or that are investigating on the former speaker, are all corrupt. I think we need better you. I mean, it's time for you to reform, regardless where you stand. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. That is very strong and powerful. I'm not wondering whether I'm corrupt, but I'm not corrupt because I'm going to give Mark also a chance.
But they say a thief who has not been caught cannot tell whether he's going to steal when he gets an opportunity.
Over to you, Mark.
Thank you, Vianny. As we close the show, in the country that believes in the law, we shall go by the presumption of innocence and look at all our MPs and all leaders of the country as innocent until proven guilty or until they act otherwise. Or else, we expect the best from our leaders. They are not angels from heaven. They have their shortcomings, but we also have an obligation as the citizens of the country to do our part. Let's not overburden the leaders with overwhelming requests, financial requests, so that they are also given an opportunity to serve within the small budget that they are allocated. Thank you.
So they shouldn't attend burials or team burials, weddings, and all that.
They should attend, but then they should not be throwing all the budgets to him.
That is the fifth duty of an MP in Uganda, attending burials.
Thank you very much. This is the checkpoint. It comes to you every week on Tuesday, 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. And this evening we are discussing the meaning and expectations behind the 12th Parliament and its leadership. And I was very lucky to host a distinguished panel. I had Honorable Otim Bernard, who is the Member of Parliament for Maruzi North Constituency in Apac District, I had His Excellency Mutesasira Experito. He's a lawyer and he's a former guild president for the Law Development Center. And I had Honorable Mark Tulyazalwa Mugisha. He is a lawyer and he's also a former candidate for Kira Municipality Constituency.
No longer former, now aspiring MP.
Absolutely.
Yes,
and me, I'm John Vianny Ayebare, who has been a host for this evening. And I'll bring you greetings from UNAFRI. UNAFRI is the United Nations African Institute for the Prevention of Crime and Treatment of Offenders. It is an African institute, a Pan-African institute, established under the wider network of Crime Prevention Institute networks, situated in Uganda here, but with the mandate to work on all crime-related issues across Africa. Thank you very much. Have a good night, and we shall see you again next week on Tuesday. Stay tuned on U24 Television.